So you want to know a little bit about me? Well, I'm a girl from New Mexico who now makes her grown-up home in Florida. I have a little bit of a business background, but I've also been the director of the Peace Corps. So I always tell people when they're thinking about whether or not they want to vote for me that I have a little bit of a split personality. Because of my business background, I do think about how do we make our economy work. But because of my work in places like the Peace Corps, I also think, how do we make it work for everybody, not just for some of the people? So I do make my decisions with both of those hats or both of those personalities in front. We have to have a working economy, but we also have to make sure that it's working for those who are often left behind. I love serving District 5. I hope to keep serving District 5, and I'm very, 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 very grateful for your support.
You got that walk, walk, walk.
It's hard to believe, but I've now been serving as county commissioner for over a year, and the thing that surprised me the most is the minute the election was over, the entire county government was extremely welcoming. Every county commissioner, the mayor, the administration did anything and everything they could to try to get me up to speed as quickly as possible so I would be an effective commissioner. And I was surprised by that because, you know, elections, sometimes it's a big battle, but the minute it's over, I can guarantee you that in this county, they really do try to help new commissioners get up to speed quickly so they can work for the residents of the county. And I thought that was pretty cool. Well, there's a lot of things that need to happen in the county, but one of the things that I think is our highest priority and our highest need is actually housing, right? Our favorite complaint is transportation and traffic, right? Oh, the traffic. But underneath it all, at our core, when you really ask people what's worrying them, it's whether or not they can continue to afford to live here. And so the affordable housing crisis is just that. It's a crisis. And I have made it my top priority to try to find some solutions. So, of course, I think it's obvious to many people that the number one reason it's expensive to build affordable housing is the cost of land in Miami and Miami-Dade County. And so what I did is I took a look at every single piece of county property that happens to be in District 5, and I asked myself, is there any way that this could be activated to be able to add housing to it? And guess what? In District 5, there's over 55 acres of county land, a lot of which could be reactivated. So it's interesting, in the past year, we've put together some incredible projects. One, taking a 30-acre site and moving from 800 affordable units. We now have plans to triple that to about 2,400 affordable units. I've got another piece of land we're working on the RFP. That will be mixed income. About half of it will also be affordable. And then we looked at all of the land around Government Center. A lot of it is just parking lots. And so right now we're working on a plan to revitalize that into a whole new neighborhood. Will also include affordable housing. So it's funny when you start looking at the maps and looking at the land that we have, it is something the county can add into the equation to let affordable housing be built more efficiently. Oh yes, and there's one other really, really important thing that we are going to be doing for people who are developing affordable housing. We are putting in plan to make permitting of affordable housing developments go to the front of the line in every department. Whether you need a water and sewer permit, a transportation permit, a public works permit, or a DERM permit, we want affordable housing to jump to the front of the line, not wait in line to get these things built.
'Cause that don't change the fact that your heart is black. You can't tell.
And of course, we all are talking about transportation. Miami-Dade County has a bit of a quagmire of traffic, and the county's looking at a variety of solutions. Some of them you probably have heard of in the SMART plan, which will be a combination of bus rapid transit and sometimes rail lines. But one of the projects that I actually think is really exciting is we're calling it the Better Bus Project, although it's really the Better Bus and Trolley Project. And it's the first time the county's collaborating with all the municipal trolley routes, because it ends up we're spending money on buses and the cities are spending money on trolleys. and we've never designed that system together. So essentially by the end of this calendar year, we're hoping to roll out a whole new design of how the buses and trolleys can work together, so you'll get more frequency on those bus routes and you'll have better connection times just in case you have to switch. So this is one of those things going to cost us no money to do it. We just have to combine forces with the municipalities, and they combine with us, so that we're all organizing the routes to serve you. So I'm really looking forward to seeing the new bus designs. So one thing you might not know is this year we started a new Community Disparities Subcommittee on the Commission. I happen to be the chair of that subcommittee, and we are looking deeply at some of the reasons that are holding some of our community members back. And we're trying to identify solutions, and the mayor was kind enough to fund this subcommittee with a budget line item so we can actually pilot some solutions. So some of the things we've taken a look at this year is, for example, finding you a job. If you're structurally unemployed and we find you a job, but you don't have child care, how can you take that job? So we are putting seed money into what's called a Community Ventures program, which connects someone with a good living wage job, but at the same time, if what they need to keep that job for the next year happens to be childcare or happens to be transportation, we will provide those services so they can keep that job over the current year. So those are some of the innovative solutions we're looking at. Another example is children aging out of foster care, right? They're coming from a very difficult situation. They're in foster care, but when they age out, where do they go? And let me tell you, the statistics on them going into jail or becoming homeless are very high. So right now, we're in the midst of studying that. So yes, your commission really can make a big difference on identifying solutions to lift people who are in poverty or struggling out of that situation. Well, I'm sure you all have heard sometimes about sewage in the bay, sometimes about the fact that the seagrass is dying off in the bay, and we're all worried about it. Finally, it sometimes takes a long time in a big county for everyone to become 100% in agreement that something needs to be done, but I do believe we have really reached that moment. The county has a Biscayne Bay task force that we have convened for a short period of time, 6 months. They are literally meeting sometimes every other week to put together a list of the exact recommendations of things that we need to be doing. Matter of fact, they're so aggressive, they're not even waiting for their report. I've already got a phone call saying we need to look at the kind of fertilizers we're using. We need to make sure that our contractors aren't breaking our sewage pipes. So I have my to-do list from the Biscayne Bay Task Force, and we're getting started on that. But definitely make every elected official know that you care about water quality. We all know it's connected to climate change, but we also know it's connected to some of our human behaviors and our infrastructure, and they need to know that you support them if they work to fix it. So we also should probably talk a little bit about equality, both gender equality and then LGBTQ equality. The one thing which I cannot take credit for, I am the recipient of the great work of the county's Commission on Women. And we are now every year funding a giant study that looks at all the equity issues surrounding women in Miami-Dade County. And it's no surprise to you, black women are making less than Hispanic women, who are making less than white women, who are making less than men. And so those things now are coming to the commission so that we can work on them. And actually within county government, we're measuring county government's success on how they are bridging the gender pay gap. So that is something I think our county is really proud of. Not all the municipalities collect this information, and without this information, we don't actually have the data to begin solving the problems around gender inequality. Speaking of inequality on the LGBTQ side of things, this county has never had an advisory board that that meets on a regular basis to help us as commissioners understand what the LGBTQ community needs. And so I'm proud to have sponsored a new board that will represent all 13 commissions, and so we will have our LGBTQ community members advising us on what steps need to be done to make sure that this is a great place to live, work, and play for every member of our community. And some of it's not just about living, working, and playing, right? We are seeing a dramatic increase in violence, particularly against trans women of color. So these things are serious issues, and I'm super glad we're going to be having a board that's going to be helping us and advising us and guiding us on what we can do better.